I'm Ed Adams, and this is the Weekly Genealogy Toolkit, the podcast that helps new genealogists get the most out of their research time and avoid the most common pitfalls. My goal in this podcast is to help new genealogists or the genealogy curious get started and do better research up front, and hopefully avoid some of the disappointments that come from realizing that you've made a mistake and now have to undo hours of work. I would love to see more people involved in understanding where they come from. Like I've said a few times, it's been immensely valuable to me, but I also think it's just a lot of fun. I hope I'm able to bring you at least a few small nuggets of information that help you along the way each week. If you pull just one thing from each episode that you'd like to give a try, then I'll consider myself successful. This week is a little different, though. Normally, when I conceptualize an episode, I think of it as me showing you a tool and giving you a sense of how it works, and then you get to add that tool to your toolkit and get more skilled at using it over time on your own. This week, I want to introduce you to an event that will give you endless tools and a pretty cool experience while you're at it. Next week, from the 29th of February to the 2nd of March, the world's largest genealogy conference is going to take place in Salt Lake City, Utah. I can't possibly encourage you enough to participate. I learn amazing things every year, and I felt like I had to share this with you. But I know what you're probably thinking. Unless you live pretty close to Salt Lake City, you're thinking that this is a little late to be telling you about this event. And yeah, you're right. While the conference itself is actually pretty affordable as far as conferences go, it's only $109 for the full 3-day pass, but getting to Salt Lake City and arranging for hotel stays and figuring out transportation can end up costing a pretty penny. Don't be discouraged, though, because while I've attended a few RootsTech conferences, I've never been to Salt Lake City, other than just driving through. You see, RootsTech is also the world's largest online genealogy conference. The whole event is focused on the tech involved in genealogy work, so naturally they've jumped into the online sphere with both feet. There's a ton of stuff you'll have access to at the online event, and it will cost you absolutely nothing. Other than maybe a few days off of work, but if you have the ability to stream from work and have a good set of earbuds, I'm not going to tell your boss. If you're okay with not being in the virtual event as it's happening and having the ability to ask questions or chat with other people attending the virtual events, then you don't even have to miss work for it. All of the content for the virtual conference is recorded and made available online, again, for free. So what's all the hype about, and why should you attend RootsTech? Well, there's several reasons why, but for me, hands down, it's the classes. There's over 200 online sessions during the 3-day conference where genealogy professionals and industry leaders can teach you how to get around that brick wall of yours, or how to best use some sort of genealogy tech product. Want to learn how to use Google Docs and Google Sheets in your genealogy workflow? There's a class for that. Want to learn how to use German records to find those ancestors across the pond? There's several classes on that. In fact, every year as I look at the conference agenda, I have a hard time narrowing it down to which class I want to attend for each time block. I know I can always catch up on a recording later, but it's a lot of fun to be part of the live events. Each class comes with a digital syllabus and handouts, which have a ton of notes already taken for you. The great thing about attending these online versus in person is I'm already in my home office where I do all of my research anyway. So as the presenter is giving me these great tips, I'm playing around with these concepts and ideas during the class. I remember last year sitting in a class on doing genealogy research in Galicia taught by Ellie Vance. She was offering so many resources that I'd never seen before. I couldn't help but use those new resources to work on some of my projects, and I was actually making some discoveries right there in the class. I didn't have to worry about missing out on a website address or any of the important information on how to use the resources because her digital handout was incredibly thorough. But while the classes are really the main draw for me, it's not the only part of the virtual conference that I participate in. It's weird to think about it, but technology really permeates the genealogy field. I know that we're a bunch of folks who think that sifting through dusty documents in the back offices of the courthouse is a lot of fun, but it's amazing to see how much technology is out there to assist us, and how much more is actively being developed. During the conference, you'll have the opportunity to attend multiple presentations on the latest offerings from the big guys like Ancestry, MyHeritage, and Family Search, as well as from some of the smaller but still really impressive companies doing great work in the genealogy world. I remember last year I saw presentations on a few different software tools that, while I don't use, gave me some ideas on how I might be able to better organize my research. Based on the last year we've had, you can expect artificial intelligence to be a hot topic this year. I'm excited to see what some of the industry leaders are doing with this rapidly expanding capability and get a sense of some of the risks and pitfalls that may lay ahead with AI. There's going to be a virtual expo hall this year where you can visit virtual booths just like you would visit real booths at the Salt Palace. I'm sure I'm going to find more than one thing that'll get me really excited this year about genealogy. Of course, there will be keynote speakers providing inspiring presentations. This year they're bringing folks like actress and singer Kristen Chenoweth, comedian Henry Cho, and Lynn Jackson, the great-great-granddaughter of Dred and Harriet Scott, who's also the founder of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation. There's also a fun virtual family reunion of sorts called Relatives at RootsTech, where you might be surprised to find that your fourth cousin, Susan Talmadge, is a big fan of family history research too, and you can share information and knock down some brick walls together. Head over to familysearch.org/RootsTech, that's RootsTech, all one word, for complete information on the in-person and virtual conferences. While you're there, head over to the Watch Videos link along the top right of the website or within the expandable menu on mobile. There you can find video sessions going back to 2019 to get a sense of what's in store for you. It's a great continuing education resource all year, really, although I hope that now that you've heard about it, you won't leave me entirely, but maybe I'll have to step up my game. I really love the virtual conference, but do hope to be able to go in person to a future RootsTech soon. I think it would be a lot of fun to participate in the community events more organically and bask in the glow of the real expo hall. Until then, I'll be at the virtual conference. Go check out the 2024 event schedule and look at all the classes and sessions that will be available and when they're scheduled to be live. Reach out to me at the WGT Pod on Twitter and let me know what classes have you most excited, and maybe I'll see you there. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.